Uh-huh. I just feel like I've been around the block, ripping up fantasy stock, working around the clock. Look at the view from the top. Researching rookies a lot? No, I just be listening to pods. Yeah, one in particular, I'm just a messenger. Let me just pass on the rock. Browning, brunning, pruning, pronouncing ain't what he's doing. What he's doing is not losing, but infusing you with new things. And there's Dennis the Bennett, yeah. The man is a menace, yeah. Building a dynasty, some of the finest things. Promise you, you won't regret it. Sly as a fox, cultured in pop. Give him his props. Here is a thought, here is a box, and you cannot compare them at all. So don't even try. Careful with the news, but when you use a take, I take up Tony Fire. I mean Dyer, because anyone else is a huge mistake. Whoa, fantasy round table, fantasy round table, yeah. Fantasy round table. Come take a look at the crown, baby. Hey, fantasy round table, fantasy round table, woo. Fantasy round table. Come take a look at the crown, baby. Go.
What is going on, everybody? It is Friday, November 6th. We got to see the first game of Week 9 in the books with the Green Bay Packers beating up on the very injured, very COVID-ridden 49ers, if we even want to call that a football team with the way things looked yesterday. How are you gentlemen doing tonight or today? I guess it's still technically daytime for you guys. Still technically, I guess, daytime for me here as well. It's been a week, guys. It's been a week. I am ready for it to be over with.
Yeah, it has been quite the week. I'm doing well. You know, I've enjoyed my Friday off of work as usual, working on the honey-do list and keeping her. I'm doing enough work to keep her off my back. So, you know, I just try to stay one step ahead of her.
All I can say is thank God for the Mandalorian, because waking up on Friday mornings a little bit easier when you get to see our hero, little baby Yoda.
I have not got to watch it. We didn't even get a chance to talk about what happened at the end of last week's episode, so I cannot.
That's what we should do on Thursdays, since we have had.
We have nothing else. Since we have to sit here and work very hard to stretch it to 30 minutes, 30-minute episode. Yeah, we can do that.
10 minutes on the Mandalorian every week.
There we go. Yeah, oh man, I can't wait. That's something I just got to find time to do it this weekend, because we got 2 really good games on today, a bunch of good games on tomorrow
you can
as well.
Do it? So. You can do it Monday night, because there's no way. There's no compelling reason to watch.
Again, Damian Harris. I've got Damian Harris going in a couple of places. I'm going to be watching that game like a hawk, because I know I'm going to need him. Last night, the Packers ended up beating up on the 49ers 31-17 for the Packers. Rodgers, 28 points. Aaron Jones, 12. Devontae Adams almost got that 40. I thought he'd get 40. He gets 33. MVS, though, comes through as well in this one with 19 points. With the way Adams has been playing, is he wide receiver 1 for you the rest of the season?
Yeah, he's definitely in consideration. He gets the volume. He's getting in the end zone consistently, which has always been a big part of his game. I think that I wouldn't have any issues putting him up there. I think on a weekly basis, you know, there are some people based on matchups that might challenge him, but I think setting him at the wide receiver 1 spot and not having to worry about it is a fairly easy thing to do.
Yeah, for me, I mean, as long as he can stay healthy, he feels like he's a little bit in that Michael Thomas from 2019 groove of, you know, that he's basically their only wide receiver and they're going to throw it to him and nobody is stopping it.
Look, he can be their only wide receiver as long as they consistently throw it twice in the end zone to MVS.
Oh, I was trying to pull up our rankings, but I can't find them. I was trying to see. I know we all had him at the top. I was trying to see if any of us
we had him at number 1.
Yeah.
Did we? Okay, I couldn't remember who. No, I meant our shoot, I'm sorry. Not our weekly rankings. I know I think we all had them at one weekly, even Ricky. I meant our beginning of the year, our preseason rankings. I know we all had him high.
I had him at 2, I believe, behind Thomas when I thought Thomas was actually.
Yeah, it was probably. I bet it was Thomas. We all had at the top. Yeah, that does make a little bit more sense now. With that being said, I need to get back to the show sheet there. What was your thought there really quick on MVS, and are we worried at all about Robert Tonyan now, who ever since the name change has yet to produce in fantasy?
I mean, MVS is kind of, he's Will Fuller. I mean, that's what he's kind of becoming. They're gonna take a couple deep shots to him. He's not getting volume. So when you play MVS, you sit there the whole game going, look, hit one of them, just hit one of them. Give me 1 for 43 and a touchdown, or 2 for 76. Just that's what you're doing with MVS. So he's kind of turning into that Will Fuller, Deshaun Jackson type. I just don't think their offense is built to funnel a lot of targets to the second receivers. You're going to have Devontae Adams, and then any given week, it's going to be somebody else, whether it's MVS or Alan Lazard or Robert Tonyan or Jay Sternberger or Aaron Jones out of the backfield, or God forbid, Jamal freaking Williams.
Yeah, Aaron Jones did not look like he was on a snap count last night in the first half.
Well, I think that what I saw was they wanted him to be on a snap count, and then Dexter Williams got injured, and they were like, "Well, fuck it."
Who needs running backs? Yeah, MVS, that might actually, your analogy to Will Fuller makes a lot of sense, especially those years when Fuller was opposite DeAndre Hopkins, which, is the way Adams is kind of functioning in that group. Might be actually the reason Green Bay front office did not want to spend a second-round draft pick to get the actual Will Fuller.
Right. Well, and I think, too, in Green Bay, they're definitely confident in their wide receiver group. In part because they know 50% of the targets are going to go to Devontae Adams. And then the rest of them, they like Lazard, and they like MVS. And I think they like Equinemius St. Brown as well. So they feel they have the depth at the position, and they also know that it takes a couple years for Aaron Rodgers to trust. We see it all the time with these veteran quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. They've got to build that chemistry with a receiver that knows exactly where the throw is going to be, that they're both of the same mindset. They're making the same move. And I get, it was a very rich draft for wide receivers. And so I know Green Bay, could have used one, but evidenced by the fact that Rodgers has only thrown 3 touchdowns to first-round picks, and I think 2 of the 3 have been to Mercedes Lewis. So they do things a certain way. I think Tonyan, from a fantasy standpoint, is going to be inconsistent. He's going to have blow-up games. It's going to be tough looking at the tight end group at the end of the season, because we all fall into that, they average 9 points a game or 12 points a game. Well, yeah, it's 20 points, it's 2 points. It's 13 points, it's 9 points. It's 20 points, it's 2 points. And I think it's easy to forget that with tight ends, because I feel like the variability after you get past the first couple of 3 is a real thing you have to deal with at the tight end position.
So I don't know if either one of you have seen this. Most receiving touchdowns since 2016 for wide receivers. Have you guys seen this stat?
No.
I feel like I saw a tweet about it, but...
Well, I'll just go ahead. Since we're talking about him, Devontae Adams is the leader, but I want to see if you guys can guess by how much. So right now in second is Mike Evans with 40, Tyreek Hill with 39, DeAndre Hopkins with 38. Do you want to guess how many Devontae Adams has? Mind you, all the time that he's missed being hurt as well.
Since 2000, so 5 seasons?
16, yeah.
So this is being the 5th season. I'm going to say he's got like 53 touchdowns.
I'm going to go with 56.
Wow, that was a lot more. It's 48. It's only 48. But, I mean, it's 8 more than a guy like Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill at 39, and DeAndre Hopkins 38. I just find it interesting that it's almost – and maybe it's the injuries, but I feel like we always kind of just pass over Devontae Adams. Not pass over in fantasy, just we don't talk about him as much as being as dominant as when we get to guys. We don't. I've never talked about Mike Evans being dominant, but DeAndre Hopkins, we always talk about being a stud. I mean, Adams did come out yesterday and said that he thinks he is the best wide receiver in the league, and in all honesty, I've been saying that for years. That just his health is the only thing I think that really holds him back. If he could actually stay out there on the field for an entire season, I think it wouldn't even be a question. But for San Francisco side here, with all the injuries and the COVID positive test, we saw Nick Mullins and a bunch of backups out there. Mullins, 11 points. Jerick McKinnon, 15. JaMychal Hasty, 3. Richie James, 33, and Ross Dwelly, 8 points. Are we believing in James moving forward? Was that a production of or was that a product of the injuries last night, or do you think he has a role in this offense?
Yeah, he has a role as the wide receiver 3 in this offense. I mean, he's not going to be above Ayuk or Debo.
Yeah.
Or probably Bourne.
Yeah.
For some reason, they hate Bourne. You know, they don't give Bourne consistent. They give him consistent snaps, but they won't give him consistent targets. They have to be down 2 or 3 wide receivers before they're like, all right, I guess we'll throw it to you, and we know you'll catch it and you'll score a touchdown. But I don't know what the deal is with Bourne. He's like Hollywood Higgins.
Yeah.
You know, the bad thing is isn't there like 5 movies on why you shouldn't hate a person like Bourne? I feel like that's not a good thing for him. Go ahead, Matt.
No, well, I was just going to say, and when Kittle's there, every wide receiver is behind him in the pecking order.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, I thought James looked pretty good as fill-in, but if your option is Richie James, the corpse of Trent Taylor, or Kevin White, or River Craycraft, you're probably like, Richie, come on down.
Yeah.
Man, I took a gamble, 32-teamer. I have Kendrick Bourne, and I'm like, man, I've got like a couple buys. I need to start 3 wide receivers. So I'm looking at him going, okay, am I going Bourne? Am I going Craycraft? Am I going White? Am I going Craycraft? Am I going White? And I fucking went White. At least Craycraft would have got me like no stats, but at least Craycraft would have got me like 3.5 points.
What do you mean? Kevin White was peak Chicago Bears last night. No stats. He was there.
He was there. Let's hope that the San Francisco 49ers start to turn that around quickly here, but it is not.
If you're Nick
good.
Mullins, did you see the tweet this morning that they pulled Ayuk and Trent Williams off the COVID list today? Like, Nick Mullins is probably
that
like,
sucks.
Guys.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough here, Jordan Love just went on the Packers COVID list. I just saw that come across my Twitter timeline there. So that makes things even more interesting for the Packers.
He asked Aaron Rodgers a few too many questions last night.
Yeah, well, you know, draft pick looking worse and worse by the week. That's for damn sure.
Both their draft picks, because Dillon wasn't doing much, and then he wiped up half their running back room.
Yep. All right, let's see here. What do we? Oh, Friday previews. All right, so we got 3 and 4 Broncos versus 2 and 6 Falcons. Philip Lindsay coming in at 22, Melvin Gordon 19, Noah Fant 7, and Albert I was gonna try, but I got nothing. Alberto. Do you know how to say his last name, Matt?
Now they changed the pronunciation. Either the announcers didn't know, or he changed his pronunciation to something that I'm not even going to attempt. King Albert.
Yeah, King Albert. The obviously the Atlanta defense has been very fantasy friendly and very giving to our fantasy teams, particularly to the tight ends. Is Alberto a good play for you guys in Week 9, with him coming in with a consensus ranking of 21 for us?
I think especially in 2 tight end leagues, it's a pretty easy play. I know he has a chemistry with Locke going back to college. But I think it really comes down to what your options are. You're not going to start him over Fant. You know, you're not going to start him over Higbee. You're not going to start him over Hunter Henry. You know, you're not starting him over Evan Ingram. You're going to have to get pretty far into your rankings, I think, before you go, well, I think I'm going to, what do I have? Maybe
what about Trey Burton.
I have Burton 2 spots ahead of him and Logan Thomas directly ahead of him.
Broncos.
So
I like it.
So I might I could see saying, you know what, I'm going to take the shot on Albert's upside versus Jimmy Graham. Burton is starting, he's the Wildcat quarterback. He gets at least a handoff a game. I don't know. They're, for some reason, well, maybe it's because all their wide receivers are injured in Indianapolis and they're trying to manufacture shit. But I'd probably, I think where I have them ranked in orders 15, 16, 17, they're pretty much, I would consider them to be in the same tier.
So, I mean, he's had 5 goal line red zone targets in the last 2 weeks. I would start him over Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram hasn't done enough to sell me. I wouldn't start him if I had I didn't have him top 10, but especially I am starting him in a couple of places where I'm looking for upside, and I'm in that Jimmy Graham, Evan Ingram, Logan Thomas milieu. I would start him over Trey Burton. I don't really trust Philip. I mean, the moment we feel good about Trey Burton is the moment Mo Alley Cox rises from the dead and catches a touchdown. I'm over trying to put my fantasy fate in the hands of Philip Rivers.
Yeah. Or Jack Doyle comes in with a 7 for 45, 2 touchdown game.
Yeah. I mean, he caught a touchdown last week too. So it's no lock.
Well,
Burton.
I think Burton's was a rushing touchdown last week. I don't even think he got the receiving touchdown. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we talked about it a little bit yesterday because my options came down to Jordan Reed, Trey Burton, or Albert O. And you talked me into Albert O yesterday because that.
Yeah, well, it's good you didn't play Jordan Reed.
Oh, I know. I had to in the Scott Fishbowl because I had nobody else, and yeah, that hurt. But hey, I also had MVS going in Scott Fishbowl, so I might be able to pull off my 3rd win here finally. So on Atlanta's side, Matt Ryan coming in at 11, Todd Gurley 10, Julio Jones 4, and Hayden Hurst 10. Looks like Riley Ridley. I am so sorry, Calvin.
Riley Ridley.
So sorry. I should not need to do that to you. Calvin Ridley is tracking to miss here. If he does, who do you think steps up for the Falcons? Or is it just going to be Julio and Hurst?
I think
I'm praying Hurst.
I think the last I saw, Ridley is expected to play.
No, he's officially questionable, hasn't logged a single practice, and has a 0 projection.
Okay. Oh, maybe I'm trying to remember. I was updating. Maybe I was taking him out. Yeah, because I was adding in the Blake dude. So I was taking Ridley out. Okay, got myself confused there. What was the question again? Who steps up for the Falcons after Julio? I think Hurst is starting to get consistent. We know what their running game is going to do. Gurley's going to get 15 carries for 40 yards.
And probably a touchdown.
But 3 touchdowns. Yeah.
Brian Hill will get a little run. That backfield is kind of settled into a groove, for lack of a better term. And between Blake and Gage and Zacchaeus, whatever it is.
The original Oz, baby.
Yeah. They play a very particular set of roles. Gage's with Ridley out, Gage's role won't change. So Blake will step in there. If I had to pick, if I'm picking between Gage and Blake, I feel more comfortable with Gage because he's, I guess, technically the 3rd receiver. But I'm probably not expecting more than, wide receiver 4 with low end wide receiver 3 upside from either Blake or Gage.
Yeah, I wouldn't particularly trust any of the others other than the 4 that we talked about. I'm probably with you that if I had to play somebody out of Atlanta, I would take Gage first. But it feels like the last few times when they've missed either Jones or Ridley, and you thought, or both, and it was like, well, Russell Gage, it's time to shine, and he disappears. So hard to feel good about that.
Yeah, I feel like he just plays better as a 3. I don't know if you can trust him. I hope you're right. I mean, Hurst has been consistent. I think right now he's sitting as like tight end 6 or 7 overall in fantasy points at tight end. So I guess he's been what a lot of people thought he was going to be. Just doesn't look pretty every week. Sure as shit doesn't look good when he's playing on my team. So I'm not sure, but I'd love for him to have a good. I think this could be a very good matchup between the Broncos and the Falcons. Who are you guys picking to win this game?
Broncos.
Broncos for me as well.
As am I. Seahawks and Bills. The 6-1 Seahawks and the 6-2 Bills. Wilson coming in at 1, Metcalf at 3, Lockett at 9. We did get word just a little bit ago. Chris Carson is out. To make things even more interesting, Coach Pete Carroll came out and said he is looking, or not, what was the word? Hang on. Let me see if I can find this exact tweet because it pissed me off. He is not afraid to play Alex Collins this week. So a possible mixture of Alex Collins, DJ Dallas, and I think Travis Homer is still dealing with some kind of injury. What are we expecting from the Seattle Seahawks backfield against a Buffalo Bills defense that is very bad against the run?
DJ Dallas and more DJ Dallas. I think much like last week, Dallas will get, somewhere around 15 carries, 16 carries, maybe 20 carries, depending on how the game is going. And then whether it's Homer or Collins, I could see it being, a 65-25-10 split, with Collins playing, 7 or 8 snaps at the most. But DJ Dallas is the guy I'm playing there.
Yeah, I thought DJ Dallas looked good last week.
Yeah.
But with the Seahawks, you never know. I would feel decent putting him in there if you're looking for like a flex or maybe a low end RB2. If you're hoping for like 2 touchdowns and RB1 production, that's when Seattle will screw you.
Yeah, I have Dallas at RB19, so kind of where I feel like he's coming in at.
We got a question in here from I don't know who this dude. Oh, we actually got another one from Jose. Give me 1 second, Jose. This is very important. Damian Harris or DJ Dallas from the Fantasy Football Roundtable. What are you guys' thoughts?
I have Dallas at 19 and Harris at 21. So
why you gotta make things more difficult? I need help. I need a win, baby.
I would take DJ Dallas.
I think that's where I'm leaning right now. Mostly because I really don't want to have to stay up and watch that Monday night game. I just want my loss to be over with. Tired of sweating out these 4-point losses.
I don't believe in New England either.
Josh Norman is just getting bullied by everyone. Look for the DK Metcalf game like he did Gilmore. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think anybody. Oh, no. What happened? Whoops, sorry. I pulled up highlights on Jahan Dotson there on YouTube. I apologize. I thought I exited out of the stream. DK is going to have was it DK last week or was it Tyler Lockett that had the big game? I swear those guys are like, it's going to be a Tyler Lockett 40
game. Points last week. The week before, Lockett had 55.
Yeah, it's going to be a Tyler Lockett game this week then. I feel like or is this the week that they both
have
go
to mix
off?
in. This is the week that David Moore gets you 40 points.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because that happened a couple of weeks ago, too.
Metcalf has been talking about Moore. Metcalf has been all pumping Moore up on Twitter this week, too.
And it's the David Moore game, then.
This is the Greg Olson game.
Right. Jacob Hollister.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, obviously, we, our fellow member of the Nerd Herd and one of the main guys there, Dynasty Nerds, and Garrett Price is a big fan of DJ Dallas. I'm with you guys. He looked really good last week. Not only just what he does running the ball, but catching the ball as well. With Homer beat up, I mean, I get Alex Collins, I think, for the most part, been with the Seahawks for a little bit now. I see they called him up from the practice squad. I think you're rolling with DJ Dallas here again. Buffalo has been surprisingly not very good against the run, so I think I'd take him. It's just, man, the Jets are so bad. It makes me want to go Damian Harris. But I saw they're bringing Sony Michel back now. It's Bill Belichick.
Here's the thing:
like he's going to give me the finger as soon as I put Damian Harris in my lineup.
And Le'Veon Bell were going to run all over the Jets last week too, and they have arguably a better offensive and a better offensive line situation. And it wasn't incredible production.
I know. It's just now I got to call them up off my taxi squad, and I got to drop somebody.
Look, when it ends up being a 6-3 game on Monday night, you're going to be glad you didn't play anyone from it.
I'm just not going to watch it anyways. Like I said, I'm tired of the sweating out 4-point losses and going to bed at 11 o'clock at night, get up in 3 hours all pissed off as I lost again.
And on Friday, you're still dragging ass because you haven't recovered.
It's
and just think of how warm your heart will be when you watch back-to-back episodes of The Mandalorian and go to sleep at 8.
Well, I saw the first episode. I haven't. Did they release two?
That's what there. You have the first one. You have the one from today. Back-to-back episodes.
Well, I saw the first one already. I just
Oh,
need to
you
see
did?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched it. What was it after? I know.
Hey,
I'm
you know
sorry,
what?
guys. We're not talking fantasy football now, but it's Mandalorian. It's so amazing.
We're
But I
talking
watched it on
fantasy.
Halloween night.
We've
Yeah,
broadened. We're still on fantasy. So.
yeah. I watched it after Halloween after the Ohio State game. We took our kids to that party, and then we came back here and watched. I watched it at like 12 o'clock. That's what said that ending. The last like 5 seconds, I was like, "What?" That's why I've been waiting all week, and I completely forgot.
Well, that's good. Next Thursday, we'll have our. Now it's good to know what we have planned.
All right, Buffalo side, Allen coming in at 7, Zach Moss 18, Stephon Diggs 6, and Cole Beasley 25. Is Moss the play at running back here for the Bills? If he is, or I guess it's kind of mixed in here, what do you think is Singletary's value now in Dynasty with it looking like Moss taking over that backfield?
Well, is he taking over or did he have one good game?
He's had more carries the past couple games, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he was out there for more snaps.
So I don't know. I think it's probably a fluid situation. I don't know. I wasn't sold on Singletary being quote unquote the guy. I have him at 24 and 26 in my ranking. So I feel like it's going to be a split. Some of it comes down to Moss being the bigger back. I think they definitely want to give him more touches in the running game, but Singletary needs to produce in the passing game more, and I think he's kind of faltered a little bit in that the last couple weeks. I think I do have Moss the higher of the two, so I'd probably lean him. But if I had to start Singletary, probably is in a second flex position or a flex position, I don't think I would have too much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think Moss is the play that I would like better. Their running game in general hasn't been very good this season. Last week was probably one of their better outputs. The question of Singletary's value in Dynasty really comes down to the fact that even when Moss was out and we thought it might be his time to shine, we haven't seen progression. If anything, he looks like he's a little less involved in what they're doing than he was last year. So, I've seen a lot of people, should I trade for him? What do you expect? I would not give up much, and I don't think you can get much. If you have him, you're probably holding, waiting to see if you can get more of a spark and a higher value. But to me, it just doesn't feel like – it feels like he's taken steps back from where he was last year.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because I like Singletary a lot. I thought it was a great landing spot for him to come to Buffalo, but it just seems like they believe more in Zach Moss at this point. Even last year, we saw they seemed hesitant to give Singletary the ball even when he was out producing Frank Gore, and that they still kind of kept mixing in Frank Gore. How high were you guys on Moss? I wonder if I was the highest on him. I think I had him as the top 12 play this week.
Let me see. You had him at 8. Dennis had him at 25. I had him at 22.
You're welcome. You're welcome, America. If he does good. If not, I'm sorry. I suck at this.
And then Singletary, you had him 27. Dennis had him 29. I had him 29. So Dennis and I are pretty close on the Moss Singletary with Singletary further. You have a pretty huge spread there.
Zach Moss. And I hate to admit that too, because I'm pretty sure I was dogging that dude off season. So I was not high on him at all.
He was probably running back, 9 or 10?
I think we had him at 5 or 6. We didn't have him low. It's just none of us.
No, we didn't have him
7.
at 5 or 6. He's
7. I think 7? He was like right behind Vaughn.
I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, because I had Vaughn at 5.
That probably makes sense. 7.
So who were the top 4? Taylor, DeAndre,
Swift,
Dobbins, CEH,
Akers.
Cam Akers, no, because I know I had CEH at 5. So Cam Akers, CEH, yeah. So he would have been 7 because I know I had Vaughn at 6. I did have Vaughn ahead of him. Right, but it wasn't. We didn't say like he wasn't talented. I just don't think any of us thought he'd be this good. I don't want to say like we're like, oh, he's a bum. But yeah, he's definitely looked a lot better than I thought he was going to look this year. I am taking the Seahawks. I really want to pick the Bills, but I think the Seahawks are going to win this one. What about you guys?
Seahawks for me too.
I'm taking the Seahawks, and I don't want to pick the Bills. So
No. Bears 5-2, Titans 5-2. David Montgomery coming in at 14, Allen Robinson 10, and Jimmy Graham 15. Last week the Bears got Anthony Miller and Darnell Mooney more involved. Oh, I know. It's lack of sleep. I can't read to begin with or pronounce things. It's probably better. I mean,
if they joined us from the beginning,
go.
You don't even have to remind people. It's in the song.
That's very true. Can they do it again? And which of the two do you believe in more if you think someone can produce outside of Robinson?
They're so handicapped by Nick Foles.
And Trubisky's not even an option anymore. Apparently he got hurt on the one snap they let him play last week.
Right. It's like, Anthony Miller looked so good at times last year. And Darnell Mooney is looking so good. It's really it's going to be a tough. It's a dart throw for the two of them. You just got to spin the wheel. If you've got them both, you're spinning the wheel. You're picking one, and you're moving forward, and probably being wrong.
So I think volume is the challenge to believe that they can get either of them involved consistently. I was sort of shocked last week when you had all three receivers doing pretty well, but it feels like with Foles, he tends to target Mooney more. I mean, we saw even in that horrific game against the Rams, he threw interceptions because he thought 5'9" Mooney was a better red zone target than Allen Robinson. So that's the one that feels like he's trying to target more, but I'm kind of in the same boat as Dennis. It's a dart throw. I don't know that you're seeing enough volume to feel good about anyone else getting. Sometimes we haven't even seen Allen Robinson deliver value until the fourth quarter garbage time.
Yeah, that's very frustrating. It gives me all kinds of heart issues watching Allen, who's a wide receiver one. Now he always comes through as a wide receiver one, but it's always like the last couple minutes, and it sucks. Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's Mooney. Never been that big on Anthony Miller. Mooney just looks good out there for a rookie. I agree with Dennis's statement, though. They're definitely being handicapped by Foles. But this is definitely the defense to capitalize against. We've seen the Titans can be beat in the passing game. A lot of those guys just seem to not be able to keep up with the wide receivers. And Darnell Mooney, I think, is definitely the fastest player out of those three. I kind of think he's going to have a big game. I shouldn't say a game, a big play at least. I think he scores a long touchdown this week. On the Titans side, Tannehill coming in at 12, Henry 4, A.J. Brown 12, Corey Davis 35, and Jonnu Smith 6. Matt and myself talked about this on Monday's pod. Corey Davis has had at least 11 points in each of the games he has played. So why are we all so low on him coming in with the consensus rating?
And I will say, I just went and looked, and you're 32. Dennis is 24. I was 29. Ricky didn't rank him. That's why he dropped so far.
God damn it, Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky.
I mean, for me, it's the Bears' defense. I still think he's going to put up points. I mean, I hate to say it because I've never been a Corey Davis believer. I think he's going to get you probably 11 points since he's been doing it all season long. But this Bears defense is very good, and that's kind of the thing that I think limits his upside here because A.J. Brown just does not seem to be able to be covered by anybody when he's out there. I can't quit Jonnu Smith, and I feel like that's probably the best matchup against the Bears as well as in that tight end spot. So for me, I think it's more of an A.J. Brown, Jonnu Smith, Henry game, which is going to drop Davis down. But, of course, Davis is going to get you like 3 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown in there and just magically move over that 11-point mark and make your day if you end up starting him. So that's kind of why I ranked him low. I will admit, because of what he's looked like, and we talked about on Monday, when he's not playing a defense like the Bears, he will actually be higher in my rankings.
I do feel like it's just we've seen Corey Davis be enigmatic for so long. If you think the comparison to Devontae Parker is probably apt, because Parker had to do it for like 10 weeks before we finally begrudgingly admitted he was having a decent season. It just Davis has dropped himself so low. I'm in a 16-team league where you start one running back, 3 receivers and a flex. So receivers are even more valuable and hard to come by. And somebody inquired about Corey Davis. The guy said, I'd want a low end first for him because it was a team that's close to first place. And they're like, oh, he's nowhere near worth that much. But then you're looking at him, and it was him that was like, hey, he's scored at least 11 points every time he's played. And I went and looked, and I'm like, he's been 15, 18. He's had a couple games over 20. It feels too like it's been a quiet production, and it's a guy that we just have been burned by so many times. It feels like it's hard to trust.
Dennis, you got anything to add?
Nah.
No? All right. That was the last part of that team. My bad. I am picking. I am going to take the Bears. Who are you guys taking?
Tennessee for me.
I'm taking Corey Davis's.
All right. 3-4 Lions at the 2-5 Vikings. For the Lions here, Swift coming in at 15, Marvin Jones 23, and TJ Hawkinson 4. Kenny Golladay was ruled out today. From everything I'm seeing, it's going to be likely at least 2 weeks for Golladay. We talked about this a little bit on Monday. The fact they keep bringing wide receivers in makes me think this might be more serious for Golladay. But as of right now, no Matt Stafford. From everything I've seen, he's tested negative so far, but if he gets that one more positive test, he's out. So there is a slim chance that he'll be able to play, something we're going to have to watch. We literally will not be able to know until Sunday because he has to test negative. I haven't seen if he tested negative today, but he has to test negative today, tomorrow, and Sunday to be able to play. Will this team lean on Swift finally with Stafford being out, or is this the 30-carry, 30-yard Adrian Peterson game?
Well, I think it comes down to how well Minnesota can cover Marvin Jones and TJ Hawkinson.
Hey, don't forget about Marvin Hall.
No, I'm not. Marvin Hall popped off last weekend. And hell, Danny Ambulance Dola may
I was
even
about
get
to ask if you think he might do something.
But it's a weird game because if Stafford is playing, he's probably somewhere around my quarterback 12. But Chase Daniel right now is like my quarterback 25 out of 26. So Daniel is he's a serviceable backup veteran that is gonna make the right moves mentally, but physically just doesn't quite have the same kind of tools. So everybody takes a big drop if Daniel is in there. Except maybe Peterson and, didn't Kerryon Johnson come to life last week too?
I mean, he got a touchdown, yeah. I don't know about it. I think he got like 3 carries for 8 yards and a touchdown. So,
I mean, if Detroit's smart, though, they'll lean on Swift, who has been explosive and who's looked good. But
well, that's the damning statement right there. If they're smart. I don't know. They've shown us they aren't, I think is the fair way to put it.
And yet we all ranked Swift up there thinking that they are going to rely on.
I'm not even going to lie. I did it as hopefully a little bit of good juju in my direction because I need him, and I need him to be that good. But I don't know what to think. I mean, we've seen – we obviously talk about it on the recap shows. We've talked about it the Friday after he had the good game. He's been trending forward. He even got a bunch of snaps in that game last week. He just, for whatever reason, when it came down to it, it was Peterson and Kerryon that got the production. So I just need Matt Patricia to be fired. I need Frank Wright to be fired. It'd make me such a better – it'd make me look smart as a smarter fantasy analyst, I guess I should put.
For fantasy, we maybe begrudge the Colts, but they've actually been good. They're in first place in their division, so the chances of him being fired feel slim.
I've started that petition. There's only been one signature so far, but I'm petitioning to get Frank Reich fired. Free Jonathan Taylor, baby. On the Minnesota side here, Dalvin Cook at 2, Adam Thielen at 8, and Justin Jefferson coming in at 15. Do you guys think that Cook will carry the load here again against the Lions?
Well, before we move into that, I think freeing Jonathan Taylor, all it requires is him to hit the goddamn hole.
Well, maybe. He also needs to get the carry. Jordan Wilkins sucks.
I feel like that was a line that we should clip and tag Michael Scott's. That's what she said right afterward.
I mean, he's missed. He's like
he has
showing Trent Richardson tendencies.
Oh, don't compare him to Trent Richardson. It's
not
comparing. He's a rookie. Yeah. Don't put that on him. Don't you put that on Jonathan Taylor.
So, anyways, the question: will Cook carry the load against the Lions? Yes, he will. No. Dude is a monster.
Yeah, he looked incredible last week. I don't know why they'd move away from that, especially when Kirk Cousins was their quarterback and they have no line.
All right, so then let me ask you guys this, because we all have Cook highly, obviously, with him coming in at 2. We saw last week that because of that really hurt Thielen and Jefferson. So why are we all so high on Thielen and Jefferson as well?
Detroit doesn't have a great secondary either.
Yeah.
True.
No Jair Alexander this week.
I see it as being a fairly balanced attack for Minnesota. So Cook is going to get his carries. He's explosive. So he'll rack up some points. Thielen and Jefferson, both very, very, very good. They sometimes can be hampered by Kirk Cousins, and he can limit them to only one having a productive game. But I think given Detroit's defense, I feel like I have to look at my quarterback rankings. But as I talk through this, I'm probably low on Cousins.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I have Cousins at. I actually think I ranked him pretty high this week.
I got him at 17. I guess that's not too terrible. Probably wouldn't have him up.
Really consensus, we had him at 15. You had him at 14.
I had 14.
Dennis had him at 18.
Not much higher.
I had him at 15.
Oh.
So we were all in the same range. QB2. Yeah, I mean, I expect both of them to have a good game. Yeah, I guess Dalvin Cook's going to eat. I don't care. I'm not playing him this week now, so I guess it doesn't matter. I played against him last week, and the motherfucker had to have a great game. I am taking the Detroit Lions to win this game, though. Who are you guys picking?
I'm taking Minnesota.
I am taking the Lions.
5-2 Colts versus the 5-2 Ravens. We've got Lamar Jackson coming in at 8, Dobbins 16, Edwards 30, Marquise Hollywood Brown 29, and Mark Andrews 3. Dobbins and Edwards produced big last week. Does that continue here against Indianapolis?
I don't think Indianapolis has a pretty good defense, and it'll come down to big plays. Who can make an explosive play out of that backfield? If I had to put my money on Dobbins or Edwards making an explosive play, I'm going to go with Dobbins. And Dobbins will likely get the majority of the passing game work out of the backfield as well. So I would temper my expectations on Edwards, but I like Dobbins. I think he'll have a decent game.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they played a tough defense last week too with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's got a pretty good front, and both guys were still able to thrive. Dobbins went over 100 yards. I'm with Dennis that I would bet more on Dobbins than Edwards as well, but I think that Baltimore's offense has not been very good as a passing offense this year for whatever reason. We've seen Lamar have a little less of a connection with
Excuse me.
there you go.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you got that sucks caught in your throat. I hope it came out.
I did all the time. Yeah, especially when Lamar Jackson's the subject.
I just think they've been better when they've been able to run, and clearly, once you removed Mark Ingram from the equation, they have actually looked like they're. We worried for a while at the beginning of the season that their rush offense wasn't very good either. When Ingram came out of the equation, nothing against him. It just maybe he wasn't fitting what they were doing as well as these other two guys, because as soon as he's come out, we've seen closer to the kind of rush production that we saw last year, not quite at that level, but and Dobbins looks like he's getting more and more involved. Your theory about him picking up more after the bye week seems to be holding true. He looked really explosive last week, and I think that they're going to need that to win against another solid team.
Yeah, so I have Dobbins up at 15 this week. I do think that they're going to rely on him. The only thing that scares me is maybe the squeaky wheel gets the oil. How's that saying go? I forgot.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Grease, whatever. Oil, grease, same difference. With Marquise Hollywood Brown coming out talking about how he's a soldier, not a soldier, a soldier, and he needs the ball more, and them talking about forcing the ball to him more. I wonder if they will try passing the ball a little bit more. But Dobbins has looked great last week. I thought he's looked really actually great all season long. Now getting the carry, I think he can do some work here against the Colts. So I believe in Dobbins having a good game this week. On Indianapolis' side, we've got Taylor at 20 and Trey Burton at 19. I'll just ask you two because my answer is a fat no. Do we trust Taylor or Frank Reich to get them back on track this week? When I say them, I mean Jonathan Taylor.
Well, how's Taylor's injury status? He's been a little bit dinged
They've
up.
said he's fully
Said
healthy.
he's good to go.
Because we talked about that on Monday. They said that he supposedly had the ankle injury Sunday, which led to the Wilkins and all that stuff. I think it was Wednesday. Reports came out that he's good to go. He's back to being fully healthy. So take that for what you will.
So we're going into week 9. So it'll be the 8th game. And he's being outproduced by Hines and Wilkins. They want him to be the guy, but he's going to have to produce on a more consistent basis. So while I believe he's clearly the best of the 3 backs, he's got to start doing something. It isn't like the Indianapolis offensive line ranks in the bottom 5 offensive lines. They've got a pretty good offensive line. Phillip Rivers is what Phillip Rivers is. But Taylor has to produce, and until he can produce, they're going to be more tempted to, we're going to give you a blow. Let's put Wilkins in for a series, or, well, come on out. We'll put Hines in on 3rd down, whatnot, change of pace kind of stuff. So it all comes down to Taylor. I don't think the play calls change for Reich, whether Taylor or Wilkins and Hines. They do have a little bit of a more specialty role, but the intent of the play calling doesn't necessarily change with the running backs in Indianapolis. It comes down to whether or not Taylor can start to produce more consistently.
Yeah, I think Dennis really covered it. I like Taylor's talent. I don't know if I trust the situation. Sadly, I have to play him in a couple of spots.
Yeah, I mean, I have to too, and I don't trust him. And it sucks to say that because I was probably the biggest Taylor supporter out of the 3 of us, and it's not looked good. And I mean, some of the stuff Dennis mentioned earlier was right. And, as we've talked about many times with Nick Whalen, who's been on the podcast, has posted threads about it. He's not looked as good running the ball as he did at Wisconsin. I don't know if that's a rookie thing, not getting that cohesiveness with the offensive line. I don't know what it is. It did worry me, as I mentioned, I think on Monday or Tuesday's pod, that Jordan Wilkins was able to look as good as he did and Taylor hasn't. But I think with where you drafted him, you likely have to keep playing him. There's probably not much better than him, but as we talked about, you just unfortunately at this point have to lower your expectations.
Well, I'm starting DJ over him in the Back Row Invitational.
Well, there you go. There you go. I might do the same thing, but in the league I
That's the
have,
encouragement Matt was looking for.
No, unfortunately, in the league that I have him, where I have to start him, I think it's either my options are him or the now ruled out Matt Breida or Michael P. Ryan or best friend Damian Harris, baby. So I was probably just gonna roll with Taylor and hope for the best at this point.
As would I.
Yeah. Anybody picking the Colts here? I'm taking the Ravens.
I am not. I'm taking the Ravens too.
I have the Ravens as well.
He said Colts. Mark it down. Colts for Fox. Colts for Fox.
No.
The 3 of 5 Panthers.
I'm not putting my fantasy future on Phillip Rivers, and I extend that to Pigskin Pick'em.
Yeah. 3 of 5 Panthers versus 7-1 Chiefs. Bridgewater coming in at 17, CMC 3, Robbie Anderson 17, and DJ Moore 20. CMC is tracking to be back. What do we expect from him in his first game?
I go 2 ways. There's part of me that says, man, it's
that's
freaking...
You probably shouldn't have left that pause in there. You probably should have left that pause in there. They're like, I go 2 ways. Yeah, hey, no judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone.
Well, it doesn't feel very judgment-free.
Fair point. I apologize. Continue.
There's 2 schools of thought. How about that? CMC is a bona fide stud, and he could come in and they be rightfully restored to his 95% role. On the other hand, Mike Davis has performed really, 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 really well. Like, he absorbed that role, took it, and delivered the goods. So I'm not expecting a 50-50 split, but I could see a 75-25, 70-30 versus the old 95-5 kind of split. I think with a high ankle sprain coming back, they've given him lots of time, and they've been afforded the luxury of not having the pressure to win and having somebody step into that role that has performed really, really well. So if I'm not sitting him for, virtually anybody, there's probably only 3 or 4 guys that if I had to play only one running back, that I might start over him. Maybe not even that many.
Kamara and Cook. That's about it.
Pretty close. But I think that to be surprised, I actually have Connor and Robinson over him too. Just because I think I'm leaning more towards they're going to give him a pretty good workload, but they're not just going to stuff Mike Davis in a box. And they're going to reward him a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think we've seen the Chiefs defense isn't bad, but people have been able to run on them, and that was before Chris Jones got removed from the equation because of COVID. So I would expect if you're thinking you're going to get peak CMC from last year when he was at a whole other level, you'll probably be disappointed. But if you're thinking you're going to get RB1 production, I would expect that that's where we're going to be.
Yeah, I think he's going to be an RB1. I'll be interested to see how much more Mike Davis plays into this, because I do think while he was great early, he's kind of seemed to struggle here the past couple games. So I wonder if CMC comes on and does look like the guy that he was beforehand, because it does seem like they've waited for him to be fully healthy before he came back. There was talk that he could have been back
because they
3
said
weeks
4 to 6 weeks, and he missed 7.
Yeah, I feel like they were waiting for him to be fully healthy. So I'm wondering if maybe we don't see I guess if you guys had to cap how comfortable you'd feel if you had, say you don't own CMC and you've got Mike Davis and you need a flex spot, and we're dropping down into that, let's go Damian Harris, Matt Breida's out. So in that range, probably I think we all had Harris right around the 30 range, right? So in that range, how comfortable would you feel playing Mike Davis over some of those guys like Harris, who does have, for the most part, we believe, a starting role this week?
I would probably, I'm starting Harris over Davis because of the expected volume.
Yeah, I would be too. I'm not really, I don't think I was that high. I'm not trying to see where we had. So Mike Davis, you had him 46. Yeah. Dennis had him 36. I had him 51.
Okay, so we were all fairly low on him. So what? Well, I would guess it'd be the same thing for what about a Gus Edwards, a Le'Veon Bell? Those are both guys that are kind of in that same role, right? So
I'd take Bell over him. Edwards is kind of a toss-up for me.
Yeah, I actually have Davis 5 spots ahead of Edwards, but I have Bell up at 22. I expect Bell to be productive.
Yeah, Carolina's not very good against the run.
I feel like I've got Bell very low compared to probably you guys. For KC here, Mahomes at 2, CEH 13, Kelsey at 1, and Tyreek Hill at 5. Oh, man. The Panthers are another very friendly matchup here against the run, but they've been fairly giving in the past, as well as we saw Julio Jones torch them last Thursday night. What are you expecting to see from the CEH and Bell combo here?
RB1 and RB1 and an RB2 is how I have them ranked.
Yeah, I think that's certainly possible. We saw a couple of weeks ago that the Chiefs would be happy to run all over people if they could, and take it easy on some of these games where they should win fairly handily. And I think we could see that again.
I'm going up against Tyreek Hill in a must-win matchup. I'd love if this was one of those 3-point games right now.
I feel like I have CEH at 9 and Bell at 22.
Yeah. So
I feel like they're going to both be very productive in this game. If Kansas City, if Carolina doesn't hit some big plays with Robbie Anderson or DJ Moore, or Christian McCaffrey, I think they're clearly not as good a team. And so if they can't produce points with their offense and Kansas City can grind out first downs with Edwards, Allaire, and Bell, I think that it could be a surprisingly low-scoring game.
was kind of like the Jets game for the most part last week. Like it wasn't up until what they kind of pulled away toward the end of that third quarter, fourth quarters. It was I think 7-21 or something like that to 9 for a lot of that game. Like it was a close game for a while.
Yeah, and it was a rush. We thought it was going to be a rush friendly matchup last week, and Mahomes threw for 300 yards and 5 touchdowns. So anything could happen. I just feel like this is the Carolina offense that made us think that Josh Jacobs was going to be RB1 for the season. So
very true. I am picking KC. I imagine both of you are as well.
yes,
Correct.
All right, Giants. The 1-7 Giants versus 2-5 Washington football team. Darius Slayton at 32, Shepard at 33, Ingram at 11. It has looked like the Giants' offense has been finding its groove the past couple of weeks. Do you guys agree with that?
I don't know. I mean, you're getting some spotty points out of them. The running game is still struggling a little bit. It's inconsistent. Devonta Freeman clearly is not the answer.
it depends on the question. Are you
he's
trying
not
to
playing,
lose?
so yeah.
Did he get ruled out again?
Yeah, he's out because of the ankle.
So I wish their line could get it together a little bit. I wouldn't mind seeing what Gallman could do with the offense running
I
well.
think we're going to see it this
well,
weekend.
we're going to see what Gallman can do. I just don't know how well that offense is going to be.
Washington actually has a pretty decent front too. So
Yeah.
it's not the cake matchup.
I think they're a little susceptible to the run. They have a super strong pass rush. But I don't know. Shepard and Slayton both have developed a really nice chemistry with Jones. As long Jones has surprisingly poor pocket awareness, maybe not surprisingly, but the dude gets hit a lot and fumbles the ball, makes bad throws because of the pressure. It's invested in him in a couple spots this offseason that I kind of regret. And with Golden Tate being out, it's it could go either way. I don't know. I think I'm just jaded against Garrett.
Did they rule Golden Tate out because of discipline?
Yeah.
Because I saw he was playing McLaren on the scout team today.
Yeah, they were saying something about they're going to assess his role on the team moving forward or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm avoiding all Giants if possible. I mean, it's just
because who else would like to see the Giants' offensive line come together and step up? Joe Judge, Jason Garrett, Daniel Jones. Probably any fan left in the Meadowlands.
On the Washington football team here, we've got Gibson at 12 and McLaurin at 13. Really not much to talk about here fantasy-wise. We both trust those guys. So I guess the real question comes down to, do you guys think Washington can win this game and climb back into the race into the horrible NFC East?
Yes.
Looking at the show sheet, I'm going to say yes, we do.
That's who I picked as well.
So the Giants had their one win against Washington, but it wasn't because they played very well. It was because kind of that terrible late turnover. If Kyle Allen's not great, but he's looked a little bit better the last few weeks, I think they'll get their win.
Speaking of a team that got their first win against one they're playing this week, the Fumble for Fields Bowl here. 1-6 Texans versus the 1-6 Jaguars. Watson coming in at 5. You like that? Just came up with that right off the top of my head. Duke Johnson. David Johnson at 11. Will Fuller at 14. And Brandon Cooks 30. As I mentioned, Houston's only win came against the Jags. So we're expecting a good day here from the Houston offense again in their possible second win.
Luton, baby. Jake Luton.
Man, I might actually pick the Jags. I hear a lot of good things about Luton, unfortunately. Or not unfortunately, I'm sorry. Who should I start at my RB2? Zeke, Gibson, Justin Jackson, or CEH?
Still Zeke for me.
Yeah, it hurts me to say that, but still Zeke.
I think I actually have CEH over Zeke. I have Zeke at 13 this week.
I have Zeke at 13 too, but I have CEH at 15 or 14. One of those two. So I'd go Zeke. Fox there would go Zeke. Dennis would go CEH.
I don't know if the fumble for Fields Bowl, it's all one-sided. I see. I got to be honest. I don't see a scenario, a realistic scenario where Houston is drafting Justin Fields.
No.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
they can't. I forgot about that. I forgot they don't have like any pick for the 6th round or something like that because of Bill O'Brien. I completely forgot about that.
The scenario
probably wouldn't take him either.
The scenario would be a trade of Deshaun Watson, and I can't imagine they're trading Deshaun Watson.
Well, hey, I don't know. Miami might be doing that. Did you hear the reason they supposedly said they put 2 out on the field was to evaluate him? Like, you mean evaluate him? You took him as a 5th player overall in the draft. You mean evaluate him? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I like Brian Flores. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I doubt the Texans are going to take this softly after Watt and Watson came out this week and both said they have no intention of being part of a rebuild and they're playing to win.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame either one of them, but guys, you're rebuilding. You don't have the roster to compete. On Jacksonville's side, James Robinson at 6, DJ Chark at 22. Chark has been a guy, I mean, Dennis, me and you were both high on him coming into the year. Do you think that Luton, however you say it, do you think he can kind of revive DJ Chark's fantasy value here in the second half?
Is he going to play the second half, or is he just playing this week?
I would think Minshew's done. I mean, we heard the talk a couple weeks ago. They were thinking about benching him. I think this was.
But when you find out he's been injured for 3 weeks, do they cut him a little bit of slack? I don't think his play it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrific. And to find out he broke his hand on October 11th, and they didn't figure it out, and they left him out there for a couple weeks saying, hey, you don't have a lot of pop on your ball. Well, gee, I wonder why. He broke his friggin' thumb.
I don't know.
They're
a mess altogether.
I feel like some of that's on Minshew. You need to go, hey, my fucking thumb hurts.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have a look at it. Yeah, when you squeeze it right there, it feels like you're breaking it off. Can we get an x-ray?
Yeah, I think in a word for me, can Luton save this team? No.
I mean, we've seen other 6th-round draft picks come in and be career saviors for teams, win 6 Super Bowls. So is it out of the realm of possibility that Jake Luton is the next Tom Brady?
Doesn't even play the snap.
There's a non-zero chance. It's pretty freaking close to 0. I'll tell you.
Just so you know, that's going to be the clip part that goes all over YouTube, right? Or all over the place right there. Continue.
We've seen 6-rounders come in with 6 Luton just asked if they can start Mike Glennon.
It depends on what kind of chemistry he has getting the ball downfield. He's got a good arm. He throws the ball well. If he makes good decisions, gets the ball downfield. Because they have more than Chark. I mean, they've got Cole and Conley who've been playing well. Laviska Shenault. They have some skill talent. So if he can stay upright, now granted, he doesn't have to stay upright as long as others because he's like 19 feet tall. So he can throw a lot more on the way down. But if he gets the ball downfield, he's accurate, he doesn't make turnovers, makes good decisions. The potential is there.
Anybody picking him and the Jaguars to win this weekend?
No.
Maybe his parents.
I think I'm going to do it.
Are you?
Why not? I've got the lead, and I've got the lead safely in there, so why not take some risk?
I was going to say, that's the kind of move you make when you're way behind in Pigskin Pick'em. If you're leading, that's the kind of move
I've got like a 7-game lead right now. We can mix it up a little bit. Raiders, Chargers, 4-2 Raiders versus 2-5 Chargers. On the Raiders side here, Carr at 15, Jacobs at 9, Waller at 2. Which wide receiver do you figure to step up with the word that Brian Edwards is also going to be back this week?
Well, I think the wide receiver, you're always looking at Ruggs, and Renfro does what Renfro does, and Nelson Aguilar. So I right now I'm not I love that Edwards is back, but I feel like he needs to start to build up the reps with Derek Carr to start to get back to that, I think, position I felt he would have before he got injured. Henry Ruggs is the receiver I want to start from Las Vegas. Hunter Renfrow is the receiver I often am forced to start from the Las Vegas Raiders. And fortunately, I logged into the Dynasty Nerds Dynasty GM tool and verified that I indeed do not roster any shares of Nelson Aguilar.
So I will preface this by saying I hope I don't have to start any Raider receiver this week. But if I did, the one I'm picking for wide receiver roulette for week 9 is Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's just been, as weird as it is to say, probably the most consistent. So he's the one that I am going with. Jen, I saw your question. We'll get to it in just 1 second here. Chargers side, Herbert at 6, Justin Jackson at 17, Keenan Allen at 7, Mike Williams at 24, and Hunter Henry at 8. Has Justin Jackson taken over the lead in this backfield? If so, what does that do for Kelly?
I think Tremaine Pope took over the lead in that backfield.
He's doubtful.
Pope is?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
doubtful.
Good. Jesus Christ. I can't tell you how mad I was watching him carry the ball instead of Joshua Kelly. No, I think Jackson has secured that he's the guy to get the majority of the snaps there. He's going to probably play 55, 60%. I can see the touches, the carries being even with him and Kelly, but he seems to have more pop and more explosiveness, and he's getting the passing game. So I like Jackson there.
If you're asking if that was a good trade, I mean, I guess so. I'm assuming this is redraft.
A little bit of an overpay.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen hasn't been good the past couple weeks, but I think at the end of the day, he'll still be close to Kyler Murray. I mean, I'm not that big on Cooper Kupp, so I'm kind of cool getting rid of him with the receivers that you already have and D-Hop, Metcalf, and Claypool. I'd like to have kept Hunt just in case because we've already seen this year CMC and Chubb can be hurt. But, I mean, if it's a redraft league, I think you'll be fine. I mean, Kyler Murray's going to continue to put up points, so you'll be good with that team.
I think if he's middle of the pack, he could struggle because Allen hasn't been good and Chubb is not.
Well, he
back.
just traded Allen, so he's got Kyler Murray now.
Poor Kyler. Okay. Yeah. From a redraft perspective, my concern would be Claypool is inconsistent and Nick Chubb is still on the injured reserve.
He also has David Johnson, so that does help a little bit in case Chubb is not. I still expect him to be back week 10, but if not, you do have David Johnson. So
that's RB 21, David Johnson.
Anything to add on the Chargers there, Matt?
No, I mean, I think Jackson has. We saw before last week that their coach issued kind of a challenge that the running backs needed to step up and play better. Justin Jackson did. Joshua Kelly didn't. And I think the disparity between them is growing.
I'm taking my Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert to win this one. How about you guys?
Taking the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders.
I think I did the Raiders, but all right, I said it. It's out there now, so I'm going to have to roll with the Chargers. Noah, I see your question. We will get to it in just a second. Steelers 7-0 versus 2-6 Cowboys. Big Ben coming in at 10, Connor 5, Deontay Johnson 18, Juju 21, Claypool 26, Ebron 14. I did mention this on the podcast, I believe Tuesday with Fox. The Cowboys' pass defense has actually been better than people think the past couple of weeks. They've only allowed about 146 yards against passing teams. It's been run all over, but not necessarily passed on. Are you expecting a big day for Big Ben and these receivers this week?
I don't think I am. I feel like it's going to be a James Conner game. I think I have Conner at RB4. Or RB3 actually is where I have Conner. He would have been 4. I had Jones at 1. I think I had Jones above him there. I updated my rankings before we started the show, so that's why whenever Matt says what my rankings are, they're different from what I just said they are.
Sorry, I was going off the consensus sheet.
Yeah. I've just updated the back end. They haven't been uploaded yet to take out the Thursday games. But I think Connor's going to have a big game. I think that he'll be able to run on that defense. The wide receivers and Ben, they do what they do. It's not like they're going to rush the ball 45 times and throw it 6 like Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. Ben will still have, 27, 28, 29 pass attempts. They'll make some big plays. It's a gamble. Who's going to get the big play? Is it Deontay Johnson? Is it Chase Claypool? Is it Juju? Is it Ebron? So there's definitely some volatility in the touchdown scoring for Pittsburgh. So you start them hoping there's a decent floor and that you pick the right one to boom.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could have a good game, but I thought you brought up a good point that if Dallas is not really scoring much of anything, it's not like Pittsburgh will have to leave their foot on the gas. If they score 28 points in the first half, they might just cruise with Connor, or, it could be worse. If you're up huge, maybe you put Benny Snell out there because you don't want to risk, as a potentially coming up 8-0 team, any of your good players getting hurt.
Yeah, that's kind of my biggest fear with that as well. I expect Deontay and Juju to be the guys this week, and maybe I just expect Deontay to do it because I have such love for him. Dallas side here, Zeke at 8, Cooper at 19, Lamb at 28. I think you've got to play Zeke and probably Cooper. I don't even know. I honestly think you can probably find better options than Lamb, depending on where you drafted him this week. And
as I talked about, be so bad. I mean, it's either Cooper Rush or Gilbert, who wasn't incredible in the AAF.
Yeah, I'm just, if I can, I'm avoiding all Cowboys. I think with where you draft a Zeke, you have to play him and hope for the best. But it's a tough matchup, and yeah, Cooper Rush is not going to help him any. Anybody picking the Cowboys?
Nope.
Yeah.
For that question below,
I'm about to get to it.
Okay.
So James Robinson, DeAndre Swift, Antonio Gibson, Damian Harris, Keenan Allen, Hopkins, Jefferson, Claypool, Moore, Antonio Brown. Pick 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 2 flex spots. Anybody?
What do we win? What do we win if what do we get if he wins? If we're going to pick his lineup, what do we get?
A big fat thank you. That's what we're going to get.
I'm starting Robinson, Gibson, Allen, Hopkins, Moore, and that leaves 1, and it comes down to probably Damian. I think I'd probably, at my last flex spot, go Claypool over Damian Harris for the upside.
I was with you until the last flex. I would take DeAndre Swift as my last flex.
Yeah, I think I'd go Swift.
I don't know. It was, for me, it's very close between Swift, Harris, and Claypool. Claypool has the most variability, I think. Swift, it should be Swift, but his head coach is Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes me, I'm more comfortable with what I expect Harris's volume to be. So that's kind of why I went.
That's the problem, though. Harris's head coach is Bill Belichick. It doesn't help any. It really doesn't. I'm with you. God, I love Damian Harris too. I think those are definitely the last 2 for me. I would go Swift though. I do. And he said you'll get a chocolate or a beer. I guess whichever you prefer.
Chocolate it is.
So I will, but I agree. Yeah, I think Swift is the last one for me. So I'm sorry, just in case you didn't catch that, Noah. So we're going James Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Keenan Allen, Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, and Swift into your what? No, is that wrong?
Allen. It was 2 receivers, Allen and Hopkins. Running backs, Robinson and Gibson, 2 flex, right. Moore and Swift.
Oh, Moore and Swift. Nobody's playing Justin Jefferson. I think I go Jefferson over Moore.
Yeah, I think I as I revisit this, I wouldn't go Jefferson over Moore. No,
Jefferson over Swift.
I might go Jefferson over Swift. So it comes down to starting one of Swift, Jefferson, Harris, because I'm not starting Antonio Brown.
Yeah, neither am I. All right, so then DJ Moore and Jefferson. Although Swift, I still want to play Swift. I don't know. I guess Jefferson. All right. 4-3 Dolphins versus 5-2 Cardinals. Tua at 21, Parker at 27, Gesicki at 12. What are we expecting from Tua in his first road game?
Well, the bar is set fairly low.
Very true.
So
he's no Justin Herbert. That's for damn sure.
I think we'll see some improvement from him. I feel like
absolutely Noah.
They've shook off the first game. I'm starting. Let me figure, what's my process. I definitely expect some big time improvement from Tua. I don't think I'm probably. I didn't pick them to win. It'll come down to what can the running game make plays with everybody but Jordan Howard out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he might be about the same as last week, maybe a touch better. I don't think it's going to be incredible. Again, it was great that they got the win last week, but it wasn't really because of the offense. And even though he's not facing Aaron Donald, we saw the Cardinals have a good ability to get pressure too. They were in Russell Wilson's face 2 weeks ago. I don't think that the Dolphins have a much better line than the Seahawks.
Yeah, and I mean, as good as the Dolphins' defense has looked here lately, I expect Arizona to be able to put up some points. So we're going to have to likely need to do some work here to keep them in the game. On Arizona's side here, Murray coming in at 3, Edmonds at 7, Hopkins at 2. With Drake out this week, are we expecting Edmonds to have a big day against what we've seen the past couple of weeks being a very good Miami defense?
No, I think Edmonds is. I don't think Edmonds is head and shoulders better than Drake. I think Edmonds is going to have some big games here and there. I think Edmonds can do some things in the passing game, but I don't view Edmonds as having the type of skill set of, say, Aaron Jones. I think Edmonds to me is more of a Justin Jackson.
Yeah, but I think by virtue of him not having to split with Kenyon Drake, because if you think about it, those guys were kind of splitting, and Edmonds was putting up some low-end flex numbers, and Drake was also doing well. I don't think he's going to have as much of a split with Benjamin. I think he will get into the low-end running back 1 range this week.
See, that's what worries me about Edmonds, is it seems like whenever he's not splitting the ball and we expect him to be good, he kind of underwhelms for you. And I am a little bit worried about this Miami defense. I think I have him as a high-end RB2. That's where I'm keeping him. I'm not expecting the world out of him, but I expect him to at least produce this week. So
I'm not saying he won't produce. I think he'll, we saw Justin Jackson deliver 19.2 points on my bench last week. So
yeah, I am taking Arizona to win this game. How about you guys?
As am I.
Yep.
All right, that'll do it for Matt Fox. He's got to go. So Matt, thank you. Good luck to you this weekend. Good luck to you this weekend, and I will talk to you again on Monday as we recap most of the Week 9 action.
Yeah, you guys take it easy.
So long, buddy.
All right, so me and Dennis will finish out these last 2 games, the Sunday night and Monday night game, neither of which I take that back. The Saints game will probably be pretty good. 5-2 Saints versus 6-2 Buccaneers. We got Breeze coming in at 14, Kamara at 1, Thomas at 11, and Cook at 9. With Thomas tracking to return, what are you expecting out of him in his first game?
I want to expect a typical Mike Thomas game. But we have seen, the Saints are 5-2. Traquan Smith has stepped up. Quez Callaway has stepped up. And Alvin Kamara
has been the best almost one of the best receivers in the NFL right now.
Yeah,
play the position.
So I expect Thomas he'll have his 12 or 13 targets so long as he's healthy. Maybe 14 targets, whatever. They feed the ball to him because he makes plays. I have some concerns coming off that. He was a high ankle injury as well, I think.
Yeah, ankle and then the hamstring, yeah.
Yeah, so there's always those things that sometimes, depending on what they may try to temper or limit the number, cut him down from 90% of the snaps to 80% of the snaps, or 75% in his first game back, just to make sure they don't push it too hard. I think he'll be a wide receiver 1, but I won't be surprised if he goes 12 catches for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I won't be surprised if he goes 6 catches for 65 yards.
I guess the real question to ask with Michael Thomas is over under on slants that he runs this week at 8.
So do slant receptions score differently than other receptions?
I don't care what pass.
I don't care what he runs. I don't care what he runs. Catch the ball, gain some yards, score some touchdowns. I don't care.
I'm right there with you. I mean, I traded for him in oh no, you're not in that one, but in one of Barker's other leagues, 16 leaguer, I traded away Chark for him, and then I've done nothing with him the past 3 weeks. So yeah, I'm with him. Yeah. I'm hoping he has a good game here.
I traded for him in my Dynasty Nerds trade calculator, worst to first league. I traded for him, so I'm waiting. I'm 2-5, and in my estimation, strongly in playoff contention. But getting Mike Thomas back this week is going to definitely be helpful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. See, at least you're in contention. I think because of the way my team has played, I'm like 3-5 or something like that right now. So still have a shot to make the playoffs, but I need Michael Thomas badly.
That's where I am, 3-5, not 2-5.
Gotcha. For Tampa Bay here, Brady at 9, Ronald Jones at 25, Leonard Fournette at 21, Evans at 16, AB at 34, Gronk at 5. Now, we got news after we did our ranks now that Chris Godwin is going to play. That came out earlier today. So what are you expecting from AB now with Godwin coming back, and where do you think you'd factor Godwin into your rankings knowing he's going to play?
Funny you should ask.
I didn't rank him. And Matt's not here. He ranked him at 17, I should say. So he did rank Godwin. I did not.
I added Godwin in, and I put Godwin up at 10.
Okay.
I feel like he's going to slide back into he's going to do what he does. Antonio Brown he's going to be working on the Scotty Miller, Justin Watson snaps. That's where Antonio Brown snaps are coming from. Yeah. I think it's Evans and Godwin, and then once we see where Antonio Brown fits in, if Antonio Brown fits in, then maybe there's, then we start wrestling with the 3 of them like we do with Pittsburgh. I'm not on the Antonio Brown.
Yeah,
train.
Neither am I. So. I mean, me and Matt were both talking about that. The news broke, I think, right as we were either doing the Monday or Tuesday podcast. I'm with you. I don't, especially now that Godwin's back. Like a lot of the talk was, start AB this week because he's going to be in that slot role. I do think they find a way to get him the ball at least a little bit because it does seem like Brady wanted him to be on this team. But I'm with you. I'm not big on AB. I think I'd probably have Godwin in at 13. Looking at my ranks right now, I'm trying to see who I had. Yeah, I mean, I've got him so probably right in there with McLaurin, Evans, and Brown right now. I'd probably swing him right in there. I said it on that podcast with Matt. I do think AB could have a good game this week, and if he does, I would turn around and sell him as quickly as possible because I don't think he's going to have sustained value. I think he could have that one big game coming back, but I don't think that he continues to have value moving forward. Who are you picking to win this game?
I am going New Orleans, as did Matt Fox.
As am I. Last game of Week 9, Monday Night Football game, the 2-5 Patriots versus the 0-8 Jets. For the Patriots, we've got Newton at 18 and Harris at 23. This could be an ugly game. Can the Patriots get back on track?
I think versus the Jets, the Jets aren't terrific. And
it's the polite way to put it.
But New England's not either. So it's definitely a winnable game for the Jets. If Darnold and Mims hook up a little bit, if LaMichael P. Ryan and Frank Gore produce a little bit on the ground, it's definitely a winnable game, especially with New England's trouble at wide receiver. To me, this feels like a 15 carry Cam Newton game.
Yeah.
And I think the Patriots can put some pressure on Darnold. Darnold shows flashes, but we'll just have to wait and see. Darnold could end up being one of those here and gone enigmas after having to spend so much time with Adam Gase. We may be sitting around in 5 years going, this dude had a ton of talent. I wonder what would have happened if he actually had a coach.
Yeah. I mean, I want to believe in Harris so much. I really do. I mean, I traded for him earlier in the year. He's had a bunch of good runs. He looked like the best back last week. I just don't know if I can trust Bill Belichick. Like I told Matt, I think on Monday's pod, is one of those things where because I had him in my lineup, but I think I just pulled him out for who did we just talk about? I pulled him out for someone we were just talking about earlier. I feel like it's one of those things where you're going to be sitting there and all you need is that touchdown to win. Last drive, they're driving down the field to score, and then they pull him out. Here comes James White, and he gets that rushing touchdown. I want to believe in Harris. They drafted him in the third round. I think they think he's a good player, but they just seem to not want to commit to a running back. All that being said, we all have him fairly high. I mean, he's coming in at, 23? So we all have him, at least consensus-wise, as an RB2. So you're playing him and hoping for the best. The Jets have not been a great team, so you hope that they can get a little bit of run going with him. But as you mentioned, it worries me as well that you could get that 15-carry Cam Newton game that's going to eat into his workload as well. For the Jets, we really only ranked Perine and Mims, neither one very high. Perine at 31 and Mims at 41. I mean, what would you cap their chances at winning this game?
They probably have a 20% chance, I think. Yeah. It's tough with the passing game because we've seen Berrios produce. We've seen Crowder produce. I think Crowder might actually be back. And so we may have neglected him in our rankings. Mims is the explosive guy, big downfield threat now. Mm-hmm. Not that Gase knows how to really use a weapon like that. So if Crowder ends up being out again, Berrios could have one of those 8-catch, 50-yard games, which is going to be productive in PPR. And if Crowder's in there, Crowder could have the 8-catch. He's probably going to get you 70 yards. But it's a situation where you just don't know what to expect from that offense. There's certainly a lack of talent, but they've got a couple guys that just should be able to make some plays. And it just feels like they're so handicapped by their coach.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you are right. Jamison Crowder, I was looking it up as you said that because I hadn't seen anything on him. So according to Rich Cimini, he is trending toward playing on Monday night. So if he does, I will definitely fire Crowder up. He's been phenomenal with Flacco and with Darnold. So he'll definitely move up into my rankings, probably as a low end too, because he's produced every single week. I'm with you. I would say the one thing with Mims is at least he's shown you in the past 2 weeks since he's been back that he can be a playmaker. It just sucks that for whatever reason they can't seem to get him the ball, because I think last week he started out with like 4 catches for 40 yards and then just nothing the rest of the game. So it sucks to see it. It just sucks to see it. I am taking the Patriots to win. I assume you were doing the same.
Yep, and so did Matt Fox.
All right, so that will do it for us today. We will be back on Monday, me and Matt, to recap the Week 9 games. Good luck to everybody in the fantasy matchups. I think this is kind of that pivotal week if you're sitting at the 3-5 range like you and me are in a couple leagues. If you lose this week, it's pretty much over at this point. I think you've got to win out. So a win this week it's a lot better to be 4-5 than 3-6. So good luck to everybody this week, and we will see you guys again on Monday.
Right on.